Afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Ellie, for that introduction. This is the sector briefing for applied law. It's scheduled for 1 hour, but it's unlikely it certainly won't take me that long to go through the slides, but obviously there's an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end. Because I'm presenting this on my own, I won't be able to see the chat too easily. So what I'm intending to do is to go through my slide deck and then open the floor to any questions and answers and look through any of the chat questions at the end. So hopefully that's okay. You might want to have a think about what you're asking in case I cover it in a later slide as well. My name's Laura Hall and I'm the sector manager for the product manager for the sector of applied law, also for business, enterprise, marketing and esports. So it's really great to be able to talk about applied law in its own right and not alongside other areas. The briefing that I'm going to go through today will, well, if I can get it to go. Sorry, yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of the context of the reforms, the outcomes of the rapid review, just so to bring us all up on, to speed with everything, although I'm sure you know most of it. We're going to just re-look at the funding list and finish on level 3 around some of the support and what happens next. And then a very short slide on level 2, because it's not so much for an impact in law, but might be useful to know. And then the Q&A, of course. As you know, the level 3 reform has been an ongoing piece of work, for want of a better phrase, for a few years now, which has led to a variety of different actions that have happened. The one thing to just remind ourselves about is that applied law is in cycle 2, what we're calling what the government's calling cycle 2. And cycle 1 is where most of the impact has happened to date in terms of qualifications that have been reformed and will be delivered from September 2025. Back in 2024, we saw a change in government, of course, and that meant that we had a pause on the ability to submit any of our cycle 2, level 3 and level 2 reformed qualifications. And a rapid review was called. And the curriculum and assessment review, sometimes known as CAR, has also started. So as you'll see in a few slides, just reiterating a lot of what we're saying here is that law falls into cycle 2 and is currently in that whole review process. Some of the funding has been changed from what was initially planned since the change in government too. So the rapid review was where the government announced a review of the post-16 qualifications at level 3 and below, and whether funding would be removed from those qualifications, again, primarily in cycle 1 subjects. And it was where they might overlap with T levels or qualifications at level 3 where they weren't approved for funding as an AAQ or a technical. And then those outcomes of the review were published in December. So it was a very late publication of outcome, which sort of aligned with the start of school and college holidays. In that outcome, and again, like I said, many of you will know this, but just to bring us all onto the same page, The alternative academic qualifications and technical qualifications in the Cycle 1 subjects will continue to be first teach this September. And at the bottom of this slide, you can see the Cycle 1 sectors, which don't include applied law, but for your information. Also, all BTEC nationals at the certificate and extended certificate sizes, so 180 and 360 guided learning hours, which is what you'll be familiar with applied law, in only Cycle 1 sectors will still be defunded from this July. And then they will have a replacement qualification, which you can find listed on our website if you teach in those areas at all. Also, which is really important, is that initially in the prior government plans, the study programme was due to only allow one alternative academic qualification, and the student would have to take that alongside 2 A levels. That has been scrapped. So you as centres and teachers can revert to choosing what suits your learners when it comes to study programmes, which could include more than one AAQ, and it might include a technical qualification, for example. And then each sector will be reviewed independently, and that will then determine the outcome of the funding for that particular sector. So it's not a general sweeping statement across the board. That also applies for level 2, Cycle 1, so the subjects below. They will also be first teach this September. So the main things for a law here is the third and fourth points. So to reiterate, what you might have expected to be defunded in 25-26 at the end of 26 is now extended to the end of 27 for the moment. So you've probably recruited this year, you can then recruit next year, and you can also recruit the year after. And if you run a qualification over 2 years, if you're running it alongside 2 A levels, for example, or other BTEC nationals or equivalents, then you would still be able to do that so long as they were registered in that September/October of 26. So post that, the DFE provided us a statement, and they have a list of FAQs. Just pulling out from that FAQ, I'll just read it out because it's easier trying to summarise. So we have announced that we will invite awarding organisations to submit further new level 3 qualifications in the spring of this year in those Cycle 1. So health and science, construction, digital and education and early years, and the care services routes. This will continue to this will continue the process of reforming these routes whilst the curriculum and assessment review looks at the curriculum more broadly, and will allow more newly reformed qualifications to be available for first teaching in September 26. We will provide more information on the timetable for this process as soon as we can in the new year. So with regards to the reform of other level 3 qualifications and level 2 and below qualifications, we will provide more information on this in due course. So what we gain from that is where law sits at the moment is in the curriculum and assessment review, and we will be informed as to whether we are able to redevelop law or aligned subjects around law once we have the outcomes of the review. The outcomes of the review are due in November, with an interim report in late February, March. So whilst you continue to deliver over the next 3 years, what we have currently in place for our BTEC applied law are these different support offers, and we do fully intend to continue these supports, different support to you when we redevelop any new qualifications in the academic space and technical space. So when you get the slide decks, you'll be able to link to all of these. Obviously, we have our dedicated webpage for delivering BTEC law as it is. We have Exam Wizard, where you have resources that support you putting together your own assessment tests using our past paper questions. We have our specification and sample assessments, delivery guides. We have our Results Plus, where you can tailor your analysis of how your learners are doing through external assessments, looking at the breakdown, which questions they're falling down on to support your future teaching or resits. And obviously, you may know about the access to scripts if you wanted to download any of those marked online scripts to see what's happening with those. And we have subject advisors in many fields. You have Ask the Expert in law, where you can ask any questions around the BTEC, be it to do with assessment, delivery, or anything else that you might need help with. Okay, so very quickly, level 2, the only thing really to point out here is that we don't have a BTEC first or a technical certificate. We do have a law and legal work level 2 qualification, which is quite popular, and that's still available to you. We also obviously have the T11 in legal services, but at level 3 that they might progress onto from that type of qualification at level 2. But generally speaking, level 2, just the message here really is that the reforms have been paused and they will be revisited across all the cycles later on in this year. So when I send round this slide deck, you'll get the links to our funding guide page and our reforms page, which is continually being updated if you want to keep in touch with what's happening, as well as the DFE links, which are really handy too. So you can put them on your saved starred list. And then just a reiteration really that cycle 2, where we sit in applied law, has been paused. So we won't be submitting anything in that space at the moment. We'll find out later what will be allowed to be redeveloped, the areas that they are considering, and we'll keep you informed as we go through the year.